Welcome everyone to FishEZ on a Friday night. Yes, very interesting little fishes. These are some angelfish, platinums actually. And you can tell they're looking pretty good with the full stomachs. I haven't even fed them yet, but they seem to be doing quite well. Hello everyone and welcome. Hi Jeff and Benjamin Peters. Red Laser, of course, Shady Grady even. Wow. So glad to have you all here tonight. We're going to take a look at some of the different fish we have in the process right now. This is a group of electric blue rams. They don't look much different, do they? Dark eyes, big bellies. But there are characteristics that you can tell fry apart when you're just looking at them. One of the things I've always noted was that with angelfish, they usually have quite a tummy, and they often will kind of swim in a vertical fashion. Now, on the other hand, if you have rams, there's something about after they eat, they go into this mode of, it's sort of like sitting at the bottom and then respirating quickly or panting. They definitely are a microgeophagus, which is their just to remind ourselves that rams are a geophagus. They are a type of sand sifter, and so they do often play around like that. So here over on the right hand side is a different ball game. This is a black-eyed, but you can see oh, it looks like a Daphne in there too. How did that get in there? Well, I guess there's a Daphne. But these little guys are Apistogramma. There's some Apistogrammas behind, in the tank behind, and they're looking fairly good. We did have that issue. Last week we had a bacterial attack, and we lost quite a few. But I was able to arrest the problem, and I want to share with you all some really inside success that we've had treating situations like this where a bacterial infection takes over in a group, and you'll lose the whole group if you're not careful, if you do nothing about it. I'm going to show you what to do. This is it looks like there is one fish here that's different. I don't know if you can see the one right there on the top or above the others. It's got like a little streak of a color on near the gill. That is a curviceps, one of the cichlids that somehow got left behind when I moved them from here to the grow out house. It's not a Apistogramma. It is a curviceps, a flag cichlid. These little guys are the panderinis, and then of course the red-shouldered golds are actually what we would call McMasteri. They're a gold form. They do have this brilliant gold pattern, but also as they get older, you're going to see red in the gold, and you kind of see in the dorsal fin, see along the line, you see the bright red stripe. We're going to have a number of these for sale as these get a little bit older. We've got quite a few coming up. But there you go. This is a grow out tank I use. It's pretty handy because it's big enough. It's like a 7.5 gallon behind the breeder boxes, but the breeder boxes hang off this tank. And whenever there's some food that goes into the breeder boxes, it oftentimes escapes out of the breeder box, and so back behind there, these fish are getting all the leftover brine shrimp that gets out. And also, of course, I do feed them, but they just seems like they get a lot. So something to think about. I did something with my stand. I haven't figured it out. But hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here at FishEZ. And I'm so glad that you've had an opportunity to just break away for a Friday night to talk fish. Maybe we can answer some questions, get into it a little bit. There's been a lot of activity this week, and I'll show you around to show you some of the changes here that we've been busy with. And first of all, just kind of looking around the fish room, we see behind me and other places, like for example up here, we did part company with the larger Mascara barbs, the Asimilis, as you know. The Asimilis were up here, and there was 9 of them. Now they're gone, so I found a home for them. And this is the Mascara barbs that are not the same as these Mascara barbs. So I wanted to keep these and work with these a little bit better. These are very nice. They're looking super nice right now. And you can see in there with a couple of Odessa barbs and also some Maculapinis. They're also growing out in this tank. And of course I have my blind fish. That blind fish has been there for a couple years now. Never grown. It just stays like that. And it was the sad remnants of a group of Dawkinsia, well, the Denisoni. So that's kind of what it was. Remember, the yellow form, if you ever see them and you want to get some of those, be sure to never buy them with red eyes. The red eyes mean that they're albino type of, they're just so weak in genetically that these fish will eventually, as they grow, they will lose their eyeballs. The eyes will just fall out of the sockets. It's really sad to see it happen to all of them. This is the last one remaining. It's a beautiful fish, really, but it has no eyes. But it manages to find food, and especially in a tank like this, when it's tons of competition. I don't know how it does it. It senses when the food is out, and it starts nibbling around or sucking up different things along the bottom until it finds something to eat. And it's been sustaining itself quite well. A blind fish can live, and it's been here for a couple of years now. But I learned the lesson. If they have black eyes, it's different. They will grow, and it will not affect their eyes. Blindness will not be an issue. I think it's really sad that people would try to sell these fish when they're young to people, knowing that this is what's going to become of them. And they just want to get their money. They get good money. I paid way too much money for those. And all I have is one blind fish to show for it. But here we are. We're showing off the Mascara barbs, and they're coloring up. So we'll see about them. And as they go on, I got to clean this acrylic tank somehow without scratching it. I had to work on that. But this front glass or front is definitely needs to be cleaned. So here we are, and it is Friday, and I also, by the way, removed the rock pile from here. I wanted to see what was actually in the tank. You won't guess this, but I found some fish. So we're looking at the community tank that had a rock pile over here on the left-hand side, and this was all big pile of rocks, and all the fish were in there. I took out the Lucipinus that was hiding in the rocks, and I'm going to get my net and take out some more of these. They're like escapees. I've got some ancistrus plecos in here. We don't need them in here. I've got the hillstream loaches. I want to give them more of a little home to. They're fun to watch, and the hillstreams are really nice. There is a pair of fish in here that now you can see them because the rocks are gone, but I had no idea that this was the case until I took out the rocks and found that there was a pair of Pelvichromis subostellatus in here. And there was also a pair of, I haven't checked on the Apistogrammas, but there was a pair of Apistogrammas in here that was just threatening them and chasing them off, causing them to go hiding. And I thought the fish had died. I hadn't seen them for like 2 months. Can you believe it? A community tank, you don't see a fish for 2 months? Surely they must have perished, right? But somehow they survived. I think what they were doing is coming out at night. Let me see if I can spot one. I don't see him right now. Here's one. Underneath the plant, right there, in hiding mode. Oh, there it goes. It went around. So, there's one at least. I'm going to see if we can find them. I'm going to start pulling out the male checkered barbs. I did pull out 3 of them already. And like, for example, these females, they look like they're ready to lay. So they got nice rounded bellies. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the males, separate them for a week or 2, and then put them together and see if they're excited to see each other. That's what I did with the ruby barbs, the black rubies. These are the females. Looks like that might be a male there. This one. It's kind of hard to tell. If it is an immature male, he's starting to color up. But I've been pulling out the males. Let's take a look at a mature male. A mature male looks like this. And as you can see right over the filter, that's a mature male. And they've got real ruby nose. And they got black fins, like on their dorsal. So that's how you can really tell for sure, is the black fins really give them away. Look at that. They're a nice fish. So I put them together this week, a couple days ago, and I put one male, a couple females, and it looks like we've got some fry. So we'll take a look at that right now and just go over there and see. Before we do, here's some black rams. They're just hanging out here in the breeder box. I found that when there's a fewer of them and they're not overcrowded, they really do well. They grow very robust. They look nice, and they grow bigger. Definitely a plus. Here's a few of the ones I've pulled out already from this tank. I just throw them in this breeder box. We've got 3 ancestors already. I think some of those super reds came out of here. They somehow got out. I don't know how. This is one little trick that might be helpful to anybody who has plecos. If you have plecos, in take some of this material that you get from this is like for needle point. And so you get this plastic with holes in it. You can get it from a craft store, and cut a piece, and then it's glued on, and it raises the weir, because it's just right. Normally it's just low, right? You know, you see the weir is here, but then there's this overflow. This prevents this overflow. It's just a big open area. But if you watch, if you're not careful, plecos will just go right up the wall and crawl out. That's what they sometimes do. They're good at escaping. But this raises that lower section, but it still allows water to overflow. So it just raises the bar, as it were. And so these guys have a harder, tougher time getting out of this box when they're in the... So over at the fish house today, it looked like there was another big spawn of these. These are super reds. They're really nice. Freshwater ichthyology. Nice to have you with us tonight. Yes, good flow is important, and it's interesting that they do prefer hanging out where the flow is. Like, for example, this one is really going to town. And it really helps, and they'll hang out near the flow. On the inside of the tank, I see one in the inside on the glass. That looks like an albino. I don't know how that got in there, because these are all super red, so I don't know how the albino got in there. It looks like an albino longfin, maybe. There was some longfins in here. Let me see if we can see that fish. Oh, it's way up. It's way up in the... Here it is. It looks like an albino. But there were some long-finned plecos in here too. I don't see many of them, but there were a couple that were added a number of months ago just to let them grow out. They're probably hiding. And of course, I separated the male and female cherry barbs. So those are males. Got two males, and they're in here by themselves. And when I put them with the females, they should get excited. So that's the first step. I separate the males and females for a few weeks. And that's why down here we've got males. There's the male long-finned rosy barbs, the neon rosy barbs. These are my male Odessa barbs. And people, they're kind of looking nice, aren't they? A lot of people know that this is the Greg Sage strain, or the ones that he's been developing over the years, and I was able to get that line by getting some into Canada, and then from here, many people who want to get some within Canada can get them from me rather than hassle with trying to import them from the States. But they always look good with a green Java moss and a dark substrate. That's the important thing. So I've got some dark substrate. Oh, there's a male right there. I saw a male checkered barb. There you go. You can see in the color of the fins, the male is like orangey, dark orangey, and whereas the female, oh, look at that. Is that a female right there? How did I get? It looks, that's a female. Oh, I thought there were 3 males I put in here. It looks like I put 2 males and 1 female. I didn't pay attention. So I'm gonna have to pull her out. I don't want those boys getting used to her. So here's the females. But I'm not finished. Now that I pulled out the rocks, I didn't have a chance to actually sort the fish. So that's what we'll do. We'll get the we'll get it in there. So once they've been separated for a little while, over here I put together in this setup a false bottom. We've got some of our barbecue matting. Is fiberglass. You just cut it to size. I laid it on top of a piece of egg crate. See the egg crate underneath? That's just to hold it off the bottom so that anything that will fall through will drop through where the fish can't get to the eggs. I'm also going to try something different. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. We'll discuss it. And, oh, there's one. I saw one right over here. It was a baby. You know, there's some stuff going. There's some live stuff in here. Let's see. I'm going to turn on the flashlight and see if I can get some decent views. But sometimes using a flashlight will startle since they just started hatching. They're not free swimming yet. I thought they might be by today, but give it another couple of days. Now that I see them here and there, they're kind of like they kind of float. They kind of like jerk around. They're like wigglers that when you're trying to light on them, they kind of go up. So welcome everyone. I got Aquatic Moose is also here tonight. Fish family, thank you so much. Yeah, do appreciate the good group here tonight. And what we're doing is just talking about different. I'm just showing you some of the things. This is Daphnia that I have going for you know who, Mr. Jeff. Here's your red Magna Daphnia, all ready to go. Your order will be going out Monday. Sorry for the delay. Our live foods we do sell at aquarium.biz. Live foods such as Daphnia. We also sell microworms and vinegar eels, and also starter kits for paramecia, among others. So it gives you an idea of every fish room needs to have some of these items, and I think that this would be very helpful. It is. I use this for conditioning up. Oh, and by the way, don't know how it's going on, but this particular pair of Pandarinas has brought out a new spawn. There's a baby on the back. Right there. She's guarding them. See, you see the movement right behind the mom? Oh, here it goes. There's a baby. It's only, I want to say, oh, wow, how many days old is it? It's just been out. You see him? It's not in focus. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit, maybe. It's so fun. Okay, there it is. You see the little baby right there? Oh, the reflection is bad. There you go. It's just not in focus. It doesn't know what to focus on. Well, I'll focus on mom, I guess. There we go. There's the baby. There's Fry in here. They're going about doing their hunting. I need to put some, I'm going to put some right now. Let's put some baby brine shrimp for these guys. This is not a big batch. The pH was not nearly as low as it should be. It was 6.7 when I noticed the fry, so I wrote it all down. 6.7, 70 ppm, and the temperature 25.5 degrees Celsius. There's Dad. Dad's in there too. Beautiful, beautiful fish. These are nice. But these Apistogrammas, if the pH is not low enough, unfortunately, there's the fry going to the back. It just is. It's just out of focus, though, I think. I wish there was a way I could focus in some more. If I zoom, I thought maybe there's the baby right there. Wish it would focus. If I hold still, maybe you'll see it. There it goes. So there's a couple of fry, but it's a very small batch. So as soon as they're eating well on the baby brine shrimp, I will probably take them out and let the parents go back on eggs again. But this time, drop the pH. If you remember, that this pair also had this batch, and they're now sexable. I can tell you right off the bat, there's some of them are like it's getting the colors. Like, for example, not all of them. They're not all so easy. They all have black on the ventral fins. I guess the males will lose it. Like, there's one. Whoop, didn't mean to scare you. There we go. That's better. If you see a black blotch near the belly underside, it's going to be a female. This one right in front of us has the black blotch in the center, not low. This one's lower. This is going to be a female. Actually, it's deceiving. On one side, it's got lower. The black blotch is on a little higher or lower. So they're just at the stage where they're starting to turn. Look at this one here. It's got a lot of blue in the tail. Yep, these are going to go onto our website at aquarium.biz for sale sometime soon, probably as soon as I can be more definite of. There was one or two I saw earlier, like, look at this one right here in the foreground. This one right here over the leaf, that is definitely a male. right there next to the bee, behind the bee. That to me is going to be a male. This one here with the black blotch kind of lower on the belly, that's going to be a female. Yeah. It's kind of nice to have fish that can be easily sexed. Of course, that only happens once they start going to maturity. I love the females, this species. They are gorgeous when they're in breeding coloration. I mean, just seriously, so beautiful. And the male, he's pretty too. I just like the females better, but some people like the males. So now, what we're doing upstairs in these tanks is putting together more pairs, and we have not been successful at getting these pairs to hatch anything because the pH was just too high. So I dropped the pH on this tank, and this pair will no doubt be breeding very soon because I think they have been breeding, but I think there's just been no hatching. But now I've got the pH down to 4.1, 60 ppm. And as you can see, they're going. It's going to be a nice pair. She's got a little torn fin on her dorsal, but she came that way. She got a little munched somehow, but it hasn't affected her. Now this, we're lowering the pH right now using peat moss in this little filter. It's been dropping, and dropping. Now I thought maybe they might have already had. She was going in and out of the cave. She might have already had eggs at the time I was trying to drop the pH. So I don't know if it's going to be successful. But what a beautiful, beautiful fish. Now this, look at the pH. It's in there right now. It's 4.6. Let's see what we got here. Its ppms is 10. So it's super low. 10 to 20, and then this is 4.6. Now our other pair number 2 over here, there was an issue with, she had a bacterial infection in her eye, and so I separated the pair, and I had them separate for a while, and I treated her with some antibiotics, and after 2 weeks or so, her eye got all better. So I think it was yesterday or the day before, I put the male back in, and she went dark. Wow. Yeah, she was ready. She hadn't seen the boy for a while. So I'm pretty sure now I got to get the pH on this tank down low as well. So then the fourth, this is the actual pair number 5 over here. They were in the community tank. They were in the community tank together and kind of ignoring each other, not doing anything. And so when I took the rocks out, I put them in here with some Daphnia. Looks like they haven't eaten the Daphnia. They were eating it, but I put too much in. Nice thing about that kind of live food is it'll just stay there until it gets eaten. I don't need to feed them if I see Daphnia running around. FishEZ, how often do you have to replace those parameter probes? Well, it all depends on how well you take care of it, of course. This probe here, I've had for 1.5 years, and it's still doing great. I calibrated it this year, a few months ago, and it calibrated just fine. And it wasn't even off by that much. This is the Milwaukee 802. It's the Pro. It does pH, of course, pH, and then TDS with microsiemens. So it's a combo. So it's doing pretty good. Yeah, never let a pH probe dry out. That will ruin it. That's so true, Stefan. And this is, I just leave it in the tank, They say in the instructions, do not use RO water, or do not use the water from whatever you do. Don't use distilled water. It will ruin your probe. That's another thing to be careful. I also have a probe buffer solution for long-term storage. It says to use the buffer solution, and when you put it in the buffer solution and you read it, it's like thousands of TDS. I don't know why. It's super high TDS. Whatever it does, the buffer solution somehow keeps it good, but the lower pH or whatever, the low TDS, does harm to the probe. Yeah, Hannah pH probes. Yep, I've heard of that brand also. It's pretty good. I bought this one because it's a pretty good one. Yeah, thank you. The pistos here are so nice. It's 2 a.m. in the UK, and freshwater ecology. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have watched your videos many a time, and I learn a lot, and I do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're focused on breeding. Here's that female's eye. Oh, she turned. I was going to show you the eye, how much better it was. They get a little camera shy. Anyways, we're going to drop the pH. Now that it's 4.7 in this one, I could probably move this to the next tank. I'm just using the one, and I'm just going to go to the next tank and then keep dropping them. But for this one was dropped to 4.1. I'm curious if it held. So I'm going to move this just to see. I have no idea what the pH is in here right now, but my guess is that it's going to be 4 point something. We'll see. It was 4.1 when I took it out. Okay, it's rising. So it went up all the way to 5. But I'm good with that. You know, if it's below 6, I think I'm good as far as getting the Apistos in a good place. So this is Super Pete by Sarah, and that's why it might even go down to 4 something. It's pretty quick in doing it. Just overnight, it dropped from 6.7 down to 4.1. Very slowly, of course, because you're filtering it like this. You know, it's just a constant process, so the fish don't even really notice. Yeah, my KH is not high. KH and the GH is not high here, especially. So here we go. This total of 5 pairs. I've not lost a single male or female Pandarini since I got them, and I find that to be a good thing. I'm going to also sell off the Pentazonas. These Pentazonas, the males, these are mostly males, that's why they're so red. And there's a couple females in there. You see, there's one here. There's a female. That's a female on the left in the foreground. These are adults. I'm going to advertise for those, maybe find a home, and I'm going to keep these guys. These are the last batch we've gotten from them, a good number of them, and let them grow up. And these Pentazonas are really, they're a little hiding, but you know, they're hiding behind there, but they're nice. Nice little group. I haven't counted them, but it looks like there's at least 25, 30 in here. So I'll go with that. So since I'm sitting here, may as well give you the tank that's missing. I took out this 20-gallon. We had a leak over at the fish house. We needed a 20-gallon. So I've removed this 20-gallon. It happened to be empty at the moment of the leak. So we just grabbed it, and I was cleaning it up, getting it ready. So I think I'm going to do some redesign on this shelf and put some smaller tanks, some multiples, maybe for Apistogramma pairs. We've got the space here. We can put 4 or 5.5 gallons, or we can put 3 10-gallons. Either way, just get more tanks. There was a 20-gallon long there before, so it's kind of, this is a 20-gallon long, so this is the same size as was there, but I think I need more actual places for the pentazone, I mean the pairs of Apistogrammas to have a place to breed. Okay. Oh, look at that. And see right in front of the cave right there? Sitting here, he comes out. But when I went to go take the camera, there he goes. That was the fish I didn't even know existed. He's in there. So, here he comes back. It's in front of the cave. Well, we went in the cave. Yeah. We've not been too successful. I've only raised one fry from the subocellatus, Pelvichromis subocellatus. The pair killed and ate their babies, and they will do that when it's time to go back on eggs. So what we find is that what we need to do is take out the babies when we think the pairs are ready to go back on eggs. That will prevent them from killing off their own fry in order to secure a safe place to breed again. And that's just going to have to happen. Okay. So I wish I remembered what I did with my phone holder. Oh, we were going to get those. This is the contraption. If you saw the video on hatching brine shrimp, this hatches my super small version or San Francisco brine shrimp. No aeration involved. It's just a light hanging out on top. So let's go ahead and we're going to pull the sieve out. I'm just going to pull it straight up. And see if there's, oh yeah, there's plenty in there. There you go. That is how you hatch very simple, small quantities of a specialty device. We'll come over here and try to feed these babies. I'm just going to dip the whole thing in the water. This is the San Francisco. These are the smaller variety. If you didn't see the unboxing, it was part of the members videos, and this device is like this little sieve sits in the center, and it goes into this dish, and the eggs are put in the outer part of the dish. The eggs are put in this area here, and then there's baffles to get to the center. So the water has like these baffles so the shrimp, it's a translucent baffle. So the shrimp go to the light, they go to the center here. And if I just put that in, put the light back, there'll be more shrimp there in a few minutes. But the eggshells stay on the outer rim. It's a perfect arrangement for getting out the shells. And I have difficulty with the San Francisco variety of separating the shells from the shrimp, or the what do we call it? The baby brine shrimp, the newly hatched ones. So that's the device there. And so you can see, I'm not producing high production of this. This is just for small quantities of that, and then over here, of course, I use the bottle method, and we're producing quite a bit of baby brine shrimp for general, all the fry that are what we call it angelfish and rams and everything. But in this case, when there's something that's just newly hatched, I like to use the smaller one. Okay, so I see a question or two. Thank you for highlighting the question. I see some of your tanks have substrate implants, others are bare. Do you have a preferred way of setting up a tank for breeding, raising, fry? Well, that's a very good question. I want to say, like, when it comes to breeding dwarf cichlids, like here, there is a pair of subocellatus in the cave. I find that the Apistogrammas and even the subocellatus or crebensis, I find that these guys really go on the hunt. They like substrate. And of course, even rams are a true sand sifter. So for example, in this tank, what I find is in this tank, these fish have been put in here. These are my female fish. Although I wonder, this one here, it kind of doesn't, one of those, these are the female fish, barbs. These are my young, I have some young Odessa barbs. And now I could just use a bare bottom, but it really causes the color to fade away. When raising fish, it's better to have bare bottom. These are just on hold, and I don't mind. There's a very thin layer of sand gravel there, very thin layer. And I like black because it causes the color to come out on the fish. This one's a community tank, so yeah, I'm trying to grow some plants and have some fish that enjoy some of the sand substrate in this case. But if I was to grow fish in this tank, I would, yes, definitely want to clean out the bottom before I fed them, and I would definitely go to the trouble of having a bare bottom. However, noticed something else, and it's kind of a new thing I'm trying. I don't know if you noticed, but in the bare bottom here, these are angelfish. They got bare bottom, easy to clean, and same with this. So when I can clean out that muck right there in the center. It takes just a minute or two, siphon it out. And this one has its muck. These are all angelfish. These are kois, platinums. But what I've discovered is that with Apistogrammas, they like to have a place to hide. And so I'm putting Substrate in here. And yeah, the Substrate kind of is getting really dirty. But what I'm finding is that okay, I keep dropping out. I don't know if it's the internet. But I find that the Substrate helps them, because if it wasn't there, I walk up to the breeder box and they go berserk and they go crazy and they even almost jump out, you know. They will even come up to the top, jump out of the water and flap themselves on the side of this. Angelfish don't do that. So it's easier to clean. But this one, I'm okay with letting them hunt. They like to hunt within the grass or the moss. So I find that they're happier with something to hide in. But I tried it with the rams, because I usually use bare bottom, and you'll notice that they won't go near the moss. Rams don't hide. They don't hide in the thicket. So that is, it's kind of useless to have the moss in here with the rams. So I can take that out and it won't have any effect. So that's the reason why sometimes they're bare bottom. Like for example, I'm raising CPDs here. It's bare bottom. easier to clean. These are, oh, I don't have the light on. Let me see. These are CPDs I have for sale. These are being offered. These are dwarf neon rainbows or pracox. This is bare bottom. I throw a pleco in there, and it keeps it really clean, or at least all loosely done. There's a couple illuminatus in there. Here is glow light Danios, all for sale. These ones are now available, and they're in this small tank. I can just net them out as people order them. I sold, I think, 8 of them earlier this week. And here is another one. These are CPDs. These are ones not for sale. These are going to be my future breeders. But I'm just waiting to get a tank set up. They're on bare bottom. So they don't always. Here's a tank with bare bottom, but it's also got some plants, some moss in it, and it's got a mop. And this is where the illuminatus are breeding, back in here. So yeah, there's bare bottom in some cases, but not all cases. Here's a bare bottom right next to the one with the, oh, wait a minute. No, I put sand in here. I did. It used to be bare bottom. Yeah, these are the red lizards, and this guy here is the mean machine. He's the one that killed his mate. And first he killed the babies, then he killed his mate. So I've got another spare female. I will definitely try. And then this one I have sand. But this one, of course, I did have bare bottom, but I changed it to throwing some sand in there. And the reason why was because I was trying to get the barbs to color up, the ones that were in here, and they weren't coloring up. And a bare bottom for these barbs, these Mascara barbs, is going to be a little, I guess it's just going to not help with their coloration. I just was trying to see if there were any males in the group. Turned out there were like 3 males. They were Dawkinsia assimilis. These are Dawkinsia apsara. They're different. They're a little different from a different river, and they've now been given a different species name. But we'll see how they color up. They're still young, and they're still going through the coloring changes, so they'll look as nice as LR Brett's, no doubt. Maybe nicer. That's my hope anyway. And let's see, what did I do? I wanted to talk about something, if I could find my holder. I don't know what happened. I was moving things around, taking the rocks out. I moved it. I remember picking it up in my hand. It's somewhere in this fish room. That's the problem with this fish room. If you set something down where it's not supposed to be, it's very tough to get it. Well, anyway, let me just try setting it down so I can show you some things I wanted to talk about tonight. Whoops, sorry about that. Now you're looking at the ceiling, I guess. See, that's why I need the holder. Sorry about that, everyone. There we go. Yeah, it's nice to be with you tonight, and I wanted to talk about some stores, especially the 99-cent store. There has been always a reluctance to go into 99-cent stores and find something for myself. Every time I go in, I always think, oh, well, this would be good for the fish room, and that would be good for the fish room. I tell you, these fish rooms have always a need for gadgets and devices that maybe it's in the kitchenwares, or just things that could be very handy and useful. And I wanted to bring out a couple of them that I purchased, and these are ones that I purchased recently. Are you there? Okay, I thought I lost you for a second. I'm going to try to makeshift a holder, but it's probably not going to work. There we go. Don't touch anything. Okay. All right. If the phone falls, my fault. I just don't know what happened to my holder. It's here somewhere. I think I picked it up. I probably covered it up, moved something on top of it, or that happens. Anyway, so the first item that I picked up is this. I just wanted to mention that you can get, this was $1.50, and it comes with these little caps, and they're clear. And this is a very useful device in a fish room because I use these for, like, I have quite a few different foods that I want to separate. Yeah, the red lizards, they're interesting the way they eat. They sort of walk backwards, and they walk backwards, and then they come across their food that way. I noticed that it's quite interesting. Drop something in my fish room and it's gone forever. Oh, I totally understand that. That's happened here so many times. So I wanted to point out, oh yeah, the food. So I put, like, for example, maybe there's this food. I have some powdered food. This one is 60% protein. It's very high. But I also have some little bottles or little containers of food that I use, for example, just, and here's another bottle too, I'll show you. So for example, this is my micro, and I put a little, I can just write on the top there, this is my micro, this is Sarah micro powder. This one is golden pearl, and this one is reef rotifers, and it's very fine powder. And this is baby brine shrimp decapsulated. So I just have these little containers, and they're very useful for giving me a little supply in the fish room. And when you're opening up the lid and then using it and then closing the lid, and you know, moisture gets in, so it's better to use a small portion of food that you're opening and exposing to the air, and then keep everything else sealed up, and then only replenish this as needed, because you're only using a small little piece of this. So for example, behind me, we're going to do some live foods first. We're going to put some paramecia in there because they're not free swimming yet, but they're going to be. In fact, tonight, why don't we just add some? I'm going to take paramecia that's live, and I culture it. This is something that I also sell on the website, aquarium.biz. But I do give people starter kits for making this. And I have a flashlight right here. See if you can see them, of course. I check how concentrated it is. You can't see anything. It's too bright. You can see. Let's see if I do it like from underneath. There you go. So underneath, you can see near the top, it's very cloudy. It's very small particulates. And so I'm going to just douse the aquarium with a good supply. And this will be probably, it's 5.5 gallon tank. There we go. There we go. Good amount. I took out a couple cups. And this tank now is going to be, now that they're going to be free swimming starting tomorrow, when they start going free swimming, there's going to be a cloud of paramecia and Infusoria floating throughout this tank. And that's all I do, so that will be their first food. One thing to be careful about when using paramecia and other such things, if conditions are just right, they can start multiplying in your tank, and then the water, you'll notice, turns white, or near the surface at the level. You can focus real carefully at the surface level, and you'll notice that if you see a lot of paramecia starting to grow there, then you need to be very careful not to overdo it. So the easy way to get rid of the paramecia, once they're stopped really needing the paramecia and you got them on baby brine shrimp, is to start changing the water. And what I use is a flush system. So I'll take this tube, which is got a valve on it, and I'll just start flushing from the tank above. I have a reservoir above, and it will start dripping. It will start dripping down and filling up this tank, but there's an overflow right here. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can. I think you can see it. This is an overflow, and it will start draining down the drain, going through this purple. Something's in the way. Oh, it's my. There we go. There we go. That's better, huh? So then it will drain out this purple line and go right down the drain. So this is how I can drip water change this entire tank. I have a 25-gallon tank up above, and I can start dripping all night long, and in the next morning, this tank will be crystal clear. That will get rid of the paramecia. But right now I want the paramecia in there, so I leave it. So I don't start water changing until the fry are starting to get big enough where they're going to consume it. Then I also will start feeding some, depending on what kind of fish it is, of course. But if it's egg scatterer like the barbs or tetras or whatnot, you definitely want to start feeding something on the surface of the. I've discussed my overflows with Greg Sage for many years, I guess, many times over the years, and I was with him when he was doing these different designs. He uses two of them because remember the difference is what I do is I control the valve. I'm dripping dripping myself. I'm deciding when to drip and turn it on, turn it off. Whereas in his case, he's got water injecting into the tanks on a timer, so it's a automatic water change system. And I think it's 10% of what he does, and so that is a little scary because if your overflow gets clogged or the siphon works itself out, that's where you could overflow and you'll have water on the floor. So yeah, Greg Sage, he was nice enough to let me come into his fish room in 2016. 2018 I was coming through Colorado, and I stopped in, and we had a very nice visit. He's in Colorado, which is, he doesn't have a lot of fish people around. The local fish club is not that big compared to other cities and so forth, but there are many clubs that do invite him and have him come out and give his lectures, his talks. So yeah, he's very interesting to talk to, and he's got those overflow systems, and what he's got now is working pretty much. He knows exactly which ones seem to fail, and he keeps his eye on those. He doesn't know exactly why they fail, but some tanks have some issues and others don't. So yeah, so basically I'm explaining that, you know, this is a nice little thing for $1.50. You can get how many? You can get 10 of them for $1.50. That's pretty good. It's only, what is that? Wow, 15 cents a piece. Not bad at a dollar store. Next on the dollar store find, I did find that they do also have baking mats. I wanted to show this to you. This one, $2.50 for this one, and it is a simple mat. This could be used in the same way that I was just showing you a moment ago about the bottom of the tank. So for $2.50, I don't know how much I pay for the sheets that I buy on Amazon, but you have to buy like three in a pack, and I know it's more than $2.50. But the only thing I don't like about this one is the color. I like black. I don't know why I like black. I think it gives the fish the sense of the black bottoms. You'll notice I have black gravel, black sand gravel, is to make the fish feel more comfortable. This was just something too shiny. The question earlier was, why do I have bare bottom some places and gravel in others? There's another very valid reason why you would want to have a dark gravel when you're breeding, and that is if you've got a bare bottom and the glass is just there, the issue is that it startles them when they feel like they're looking through glass and they don't see the bottom, or it is too light and they see the reflection, or it's just too bright. And so the black gravel absorbs the light, and so makes it seem dark, and it makes the fish feel like they have a safe place. That's just my empirical observation, and I can't ask the fish, hey, do you feel safe? But that's what I've noticed. They tend to be a lot more calmer with a darker bottom. So this is a find for $2.50. You can try it out. Since the fish are usually busy breeding anyway, they probably won't mind this. And I'm going to put this to use just to see if there's any advantage to using this one. This one looks like it's big enough for definitely a 5.5 gallon. Yeah, and a 10-gallon, I'm not sure. It looks like it's too small. Let me see. Yeah, it doesn't fit all the way. This is not the profile of a 10-gallon, but it's anything smaller than that. You could probably use it for a number of other things too. I guess maybe even possibly a divider in between a tank to separate two fish if you need to, if you had the little suction clips on the sides to hold it in place, which I could make one of those. I do have some of that. And the next find, for all of you interested in the next 99-cent store find, is a very practical one, a very good one in fact. I use these. I tested them out because I know you don't always have a good one, but this is a eyedropper. I got 4 of them. There's 3 here because I tested one. These eyedroppers I use eyedropper all the time. In fact, I was using the one I used came in a bottle, and it's just the one I've been using for so length of time. This is pink. I don't know. I didn't have a choice in the color. I didn't care for the pink, but in a fish room, if I'm looking for something and I'm looking for my baster, I'm looking for a red bulbous end, and I know it's red, and I find it easier that way. This is good. I'm looking at the point here on the end. See, it's got a nice opening, because what I'm using this a lot for is when we get eggs and I put them in this dish. When I have eggs and I'm looking to remove the fungus ones, I can go boop, 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 and it works great. Or if I'm actually doing siphoning out of the tubbies, or maybe I'm siphoning out on the breeder boxes, what happens is sometimes I always siphon into something else, and I look and I say, oh, somebody got sucked up, so I got to remove them. Easiest way is to go down, usually the small one, and go get that one little fish. Now he's in the dry dropper, and put him back. And that's the best way to use it. So these things, that was a great find. They got 4 of them for $1.50. So that's not bad. And that makes them 35 cents or so. I don't know. 4 into there is, yeah, 50 cents would be $2. So 4 of them. So it's between 30. So whatever it works out to be, 4 for $1.50. That's just too awesome. That was a find. And then of course, I think was there anything else I wanted to share with you from the dollar store? And I thought that was some useful items, very useful items. They had their funnels and things, all the kind of things you need in a fish room. Somebody made a comment about my fish room when they were looking at it, and they said, my fish room, especially what you see on what I'm looking at here, is all those breeder boxes, and it says it looks like a laboratory. And honestly, it does feel like a laboratory. I feel like I'm working over the sink. I'm processing baby brine shrimp, or I'm finding fry, and I'm doing all that. It's all part of the process of maintaining a fish room. So, thank you very much. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah, the fish room it's very compact, and there's a lot of things going on. I'm hatching the mops in plastic buckets, and then kind of combining them, and then put them. I didn't always forget that that tank behind, that 7.5 gallon we were talking about earlier, I'm using that to grow out also when the dwarf neon rainbow fish or the luminatus get big enough, and they can go into like a little community tank. That they go into that one, and that has an overflow too. So it gets I just flush by putting water, just flush water into it, keep pouring water into it. It just kind of flushes out. So. Thank you for joining us tonight, Rebecca. And it seems like, of course, everybody knows about your plecos and catfishes, I should say. Something interesting about, I always wondered, is it plural when you use fishes, or is it fish plural? Is it, you know, what I found out was to be totally correct, the word fish can be singular or plural if you're talking about the same fish. Like, oh, my fish or this, or my fish or that. But if you say, if you have various species, you're talking about multiple species of fish, then it's FishEZ. You say it that way. So it indicates that you're talking plural of fishes, meaning species. So you're talking about different kinds of fish. Maybe in my Tinka community, I got all the fishes here. You know, you might want to use it like that. Yeah. And I knew you would know that, Rebecca. Yeah. So thanks for supporting me on that. Well, anyways, let's see. That was, I guess, my finds. There was, at the dollar store, I've also picked up the basters and things. I have 2 basters, and they're different. And actually, I have 3. I have the non-drip style too. You saw a moment ago, I had it in the bottle for the paramecia. Let me pull that out and just demonstrate what the differences are and why you would want one or the other. So the non-drip one is really good. It's called non-drip baster because it sucks up. You suck up the bottom, and then when you let go, it has a little cap that kind of holds the water, and it holds whatever's in there. And I use this for the paramecia because the water's a little stinky. It's a little rancid. I don't want to drip that water out. I'm trying to be careful, right? And so that's why I use this one. However, I also, when it comes time to do baby brine shrimp, and I put, after I filter it and put it in a jar, a liter jar, a plastic jar, I carry it around, and I'll use this one because this one has a very good size opening, you can see, and I go boom, and it does drip, but not too much, but the bulb is pretty tough, so it doesn't take much. I just have to, it's more controlled. This one is more controlled. This one, on the other hand, I may have gotten at a dollar store. It's a lot cheaper. It's a little more flexible. And the hole is a little bigger. Look at that one. So this one, yeah, it definitely drips. But sometimes you need the bigger hole. And that's when I grab my black one. It's like, okay, I'm going to grab it because I'm putting it in the container and I'm trying to get something a little larger, or maybe it's a bigger group or a little fry or something, and I go whoosh. And then I do have to hold the bottoms because it will drip out, right? But when the fish are little, not so tiny, I need a bigger hole, black one. So when you go to buy, just be mindful that you have different styles. Sometimes they have, this one's Pillsbury brand. This one I don't think has a brand, but sometimes they'll have the measurements. I like the measurements because sometimes it's nice to know what is 1 ounce, 2 ounce, ½ ounce, 3/4 ounce. So they're basically 1 full fluid ounce each baster. Well, this one is, when you get to the top, this one is 1 ounce all the way down here. So this one definitely is a bigger diameter. Yeah, it is. The diameter is bigger. That's interesting. I never even noticed that before, but it explains why the 1 ounce is lower on this one and it's up high for that one. Of course, also in talking about, I promised you something tonight, and I definitely want to mention this. Now, I'm going to be talking about a medication, and I don't know if this is available to you, but it might be. I wasn't really aware of this medication. It was introduced to me, and it's used in ponds. But this medication is two items in it. And one is malachite green, and the other one is formaldehyde. So yeah, formaldehyde or formalin. So this particular product is a component, a special mixture of these two to make it safe for use, and it's used in ponds, and it's used for a remedy of parasites, external parasites, and it helps a lot of fish that are out there. Now I'm going to get the bottle for you so you can see what it is, and then I'm going to tell you why I use it and how. So it's called Microbe Lift, Pond Micro Lift. It says broad spectrum disease treatment. It is formulated with malachite green and formalin. Now, in case you're wondering, is it safe? Well, it is, in my experience, very safe if you use it correctly. But do not, under any circumstances, try to use it incorrectly. If you use it incorrectly, if you use overdose or don't follow the instructions, what happens is, I believe the formalin can actually cause issues. It can build up in your tank and be toxic. So this is the directions for use. You don't need a lot, and that's what's interesting. This big bottle is going to last me a long time. But it is something that they ask is, first of all, do a large water change as much as possible, even greater than 90%. It'll greatly improve the effectiveness. Then you treat with 100 milliliters for every 1,000 gallons of water to be treated. Now I've done the math, I've calculated it out. 1 milliliter is good for 10 gallons. 2 milliliters, 20 gallons, 3 milliliters for 30 gallons, etc. If you have something smaller, it's 2 drops per gallon. That's the same, because that would be 2 drops per gallon is going to give you the same treatment of what I just said, 1 milliliter for 10 gallons. Why is this? This item, this particular product, is not to be used with other items, and it says don't use it with salt. So if you're using salt, don't use this. If you're using other products for disease, don't use this. They're really clear about that. So they want you to remove the carbon filtration, and it may be repeated daily following at least a 25% water change. A treatment can be repeated every 8 to 12 hours depending on the response of the fishes to the treatment. Do not bypass your biofilters. Allow a more comprehensive treatment of the entire pond system. And of course, it's a poison, so it's dangerous. Don't get it in your eyes or anything like that. So I have a system of $1 a drop per gallon. No, I said 2 drops per gallon, didn't I? Yeah, 2 drops per gallon, and that's the correct dosage. So in a 10 gallon, I'll put 20 drops, which is 1 milliliter. And this is what I have found. I've had fish with things growing on their skin. They kind of get a white. Sometimes you don't know it's velvet, and sometimes it's some fungal, something external. I have found that a treatment with this will knock it out. Now, sadly, from time to time, with, as you can see from my fish room, and this is probably your fish room too, you've got overcrowded conditions at times when the actual fry are growing in a little box, and then all of a sudden you'll notice that there's a death, and you don't know why, and you say, oh, one died, you know, it's like 1 out of 200, and then another one. Every day you're losing 2 or 3, and you don't know why. And what I have found is that when I use this in a breeder box, I use 1 drop. And then, of course, after 1 drop has been administered, you know, I might just let it stay there for a little bit, and then I'll, because it's not quite a gallon, right? 2 drops per gallon. So about a half gallon, maybe the big breeder box is 1 drop. But even in the small breeder box, I'll put 1 drop, let it sit for a few hours, and then start the process of flushing it out. And it'll go into the main tank and all the others as well. But what I found is that somewhere in your system, if you have, let's just look, I want to show you. There we go. So in this particular system you're looking at, you've got 3 breeder boxes. This one, small on the right, a big one in the middle, 1 on the left, and it's all hanging on a 7.5 gallon. So in this particular case, the water will be flushed into the main tank here, so it will kind of dilute it. So for a short time this is in there, but what I'll do is I will go ahead and put 1 drop here, and say it's 7.5 in the back, so if I double that, that means 15 drops, right? So 2 drops per gallon. So if that's a 7.5 in the back, I want to put 15. So I'll put 14 in the back and 1 in here, or 1, 2, 3, right? I just put 1 in each one, and then the rest in the back. And now the whole system has the correct dosage. What I have discovered is that the deaths just stop. Unfortunately, I did lose a few fish because they were dying off so quick. I didn't even know. It was like they were just looking fine on the night before, and the next morning I wake up to a bunch of fish that are gone. That was pretty quick. But when I used this product, it immediately stopped the death. I have Melifix and I have Pimifix. And Aquatic Moose, I want to tell you something about those medications too. Those medications, Pimifix, I use it a lot, and it's pretty good. I have never heard anything good from anybody else on the internet. Everybody says this is garbage. But what they don't realize is this is good if used properly. It's not good if you got sick fish and you're trying to cure them. What this does is, this is for the care and maintenance of ornamental fish fins and tissue in aquariums and ponds. That's what it says right there. And I use it, yeah, smells like tea tree oil. I use it when I'm moving fish, new fish, they get scratches. There may be something that could be caused. It's a preventative. And so this is not to be used at the time when your fish are on their last leg. And so that's why people find it ineffective. And no, it's not going to cure them from the last leg. If they're half dead, it's too late to cure them. You need to catch it early. So I use this as a preventative. I use this in cases where I know there could be, maybe the fish could be scratched in the net, or maybe items, maybe the plastic. You know, sometimes I have this bamboo used. I use this a lot. I use this is, you know, this is kind of, it's a plastic, but I use it as a marvelous way to create camouflage, or not camouflage. What's the word? Just break up the line of sight. I can put it in a tank and provide hiding places for fish. But you know, so it all depends. I wouldn't use microbe lift for everything, but it depends on the situation. I think salt is a great, you know, using the 1 to 3, one tablespoon for 3 gallons type of treatment for a few days. That does wonders. But when you're talking about, you don't know why, when you don't see something on the skin, like you don't see a problem like scales missing or whatever. If I saw scales missing, I would grab my Melafix and I would say, okay, that's what this needs. You know, it needs to be coated, and I might use salt as well. I could mix salt with Melafix. Not a problem. Melafix is a natural agent, and salt is too. But when it comes to bacterial infections, what I have found most effective thus far when it's dealing with the breeder boxes is using the microbe lift. And I think the reason why is because, well, at least when I've started using the baby brine shrimp quite a bit, and there's some dead baby brine shrimp, yeah, it's just a problem. The baby brine shrimp start to decay, and then it causes all kinds of things to go awry. But I know that's when the bacterial infections are most likely to occur. I try to keep everything clean as possible when they're growing, and that's what I do. Before I feed them, I make sure I clean, because they're going to be eating down on the bottom, so I try to clean it up before I feed them, and then I feed them as clean bottom, and then they can just get to the food. But that's what I wanted to share with you tonight, is a very practical. It's very cheap because you only use 2 drops per gallon, and it's very effective. And the malachite green is well known. It's the same type of substance that's used for ick. I think I have a couple ick medicines. This one, Ick X. Let me see what Ick X is. I'm just curious now. I got this in the States. Ick X. It is, let's see what it says. It contains a more effective form of malachite green. So yeah, it's like, and it also contains formaldehyde, less than 5%, methanol, and malachite green chloride, and water, of course, main ingredient. So it's interesting because the Ick X is very similar. It is not much different, although I wonder if this one gives me a percentage of how much is in there. This one says less than 5% of the formaldehyde. Not to be used with salt over 0.15 salinity. At 0.15% salinity, monitor carefully and provide high aeration. Yeah, here we go. So in this one, the formaldehyde is less than 22%, and this one is less than the Ick. I don't know why I have this receipt. Can't even read it anymore. On this one, it's less than 5%. So this one is just, it's sort of a stronger. And this one, I wouldn't do drops. I would follow the instructions, and I usually put in, I don't know exactly what it works out to be for a 10-gallon. It says 1 teaspoonful to 10 gallons. So you use a teaspoon of this, whereas the other one, I would use 20 drops. Anyways, give you something to think about. Ick X is, of course, this is the one that always works for ick. I've never seen, I've seen other products out there, and I think I have here, Yeah, I have the ICX, but there was another, here it is. Yeah, this one too. Maybe you've seen this. It will stop. Pressure salt water, just a drop. Noxic. Noxic is sodium chloride, 0.5%, and malachite green. So basically, this is just malachite green. 1 drop per gallon of water. And this is more readily available, I think. Yeah, I don't need it too often. I have, in my case too, I have it always on hand because you never know if you bring in a fish and it could come with the parasite. And then, you know, it's. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us tonight. I agree, you should get some sleep. It's very, very late for you over there in the UK. We sometimes pick up Aussies about now as we're getting in later in the evening and they're starting to wake up. But this way we had you night owls. So thank you very much for joining. Hit your thumbs up on the way out, everyone, because I noticed there've been a number of us online tonight, but not as many thumbs up. If you like this content, maybe you don't, but thank you very much for thinking of me. So there's one last item that I found from the 99-cent store. I don't know how effective this will be or work, but we're going to give it a whirl. This, believe it or not, this is a device with spikes. It has spikes. It's just made of plastic. It's designed to go around your garden, and the spikes are designed to go up. And basically, it's bird and animal repellent spikes. I don't know how the birds are going to react to that, but you know, it's just something you put around the garden and keeps them out. I guess they don't like to step on it. I don't know. If I was a squirrel, I'd just jump over it. But this was $3 at Dollarama or the dollar store. And I wanted to mention what I thought it was. For me, it would be putting one of these down with the spikes down, and then it would have a place with, it has these little, it's just has these, they're not spikes, but then I would set on top of here the mesh. Let's see the mesh I got from the dollar store, this one. So if I put it like this in the tank, the bottom of the tank, it will hold up my bottom mesh. See that? And hold it up a good inch, maybe inch and a quarter off the bottom. So over here I was using the egg crate, which is kind of expensive. If maybe you have access to it, great. Something that's plastic, I can cut it to size, set it, just put a to this down the middle of the tank and put this on, and that's it. It holds it up, and that's what it is, a hold. It's like, it like creates a cavity underneath your mesh. So I got this from the dollar store too, and I thought I would share that with you. So we're going to give that a try. I didn't try it with this one. Maybe the next go around, the next time we have a tank here that's about to become available for breeding. So I have a feeling I might just try this device and see if it works even better. But there you have it. Little things you can spot at a dollar store that are just tremendous. Helpful things, useful things, cheap things. So most definitely some cheap items, and that's what I recommend. Thank you all very much. Now, let's see if there's any questions. Did I miss anybody? A good base for the mesh. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Thank you, Aquatic Moose. Good tool tips, different things. We're always showing different things. Grab some ICX and my ICX round. Yes, you can get it in the US. I would grab a bottle. Always have it on hand. You just never know. And I tell you, That stuff works. The other stuff, you know, heating the temperature up and adding salt, it might work, but it doesn't work as fast. It works, but it doesn't work as fast as this. There is a negative side to this, by the way. Be sure that you know it. It gets stains, and I guess anything with malachite green could do that. So it might even cause your silicone to look kind of bluish if you use it. But I haven't found that to be terribly a negative thing or particularly bad. Let's see. ICX for fungal infections. Yeah. Yeah. Malachite is for fungus normally, fungi. Quick cure. For white spot or ick, usually with formalin, formaldehyde, or copper. I do have some copper, but I don't use it. I'm actually too afraid to use it because I've heard so many stories about it. Good question, Jeff. You were asking about Stubbs and microlift. Did he use it as? I don't know. Is it in the U.S.? Microblift is in the U.S. and just FYI, I was able to just order it on Amazon here to Canada. So sometimes I guess it gets through the cracks. So I just went ahead and ordered it to see if it would go through. Companies didn't seem to have a problem shipping it to Canada, so I just ordered it and it came. So, but I will be going to the U.S. in October. Anything I actually need to bring back with me, I will bring back with me. Yeah, I'm looking. Thank you all for your feedback. I don't see any questions. If you didn't get. Hold on. If you didn't get your question answered, please make it again right now. Noxic did the opposite of work for my buddy. Yeah. So any questions here? I've been able to advertise and talk to people about this particular telling people to join, and if with your hot take on bacterial blooms. Okay, I'll mention that because we have a couple of tanks over at the grow out house which has it, you know, it kind of goes white, and the bacterial blooms do happen. What I have found the most effective is 90% water change and then 90% water change again. So do as much water changes as you can possibly do, and just keep getting the water out. I also tried the microbe lift, and that's helpful as well. But one stops pretty much the deaths. You know, when you find, if you have a tank full of fry or young juvies, you can try the microbe lift. That might be very helpful, but water change gets the bacteria out because it's too highly concentrated. If you see a tank turning white, kind of a cloudy white, there's only a couple reasons why that might happen, and I'm sad to say it's usually the latter, but but I think that sometimes it could be, for example, I mean, there are just circumstances. I'm let's say it's a tank full of plecos and I put a zucchini in there. If the zucchini is not fresh and it's kind of old, suddenly all the water will turn white. That's not a bacterial bloom. That's zucchini. It's just the zucchini. And nothing happens to the fish, but it really looks terrible. And I get the zucchini out, replace it, get some fresh zucchini in there, and do a water change, and it just goes away. On the other hand, bacterial blooms are also white and cloudy and kind of make kind of a milky colored white. You may see deaths anyway, so be sure to do water changes. 90%, then go right back into another 90% a few hours later. Next day, do it again, the whole process. Keep doing it, and the fresh water, the continuous fresh water will do wonders on the fish. It's just a lot of work, but when you see it happen, you need to do something, right? You need to get rid of that bad stuff. And because when there's blooms, it means that something's out of control. And I have found that the paramecia also can bloom out of control, and that happens. It's just a matter of changing the water, because when you suck out the water, it goes out with it, and it's very hard. They're so small that it's very hard, even through a sponge filter. They go right through sponge filters, so they're so small. Yeah. That's my perspective of bacterial blooms, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a veterinarian, but I just have some experience with those situations that have come up, and this is what I do to treat it, and it's worked. So I share that with you with the hopes of hopefully helping others, individuals too, to be able to be ready and know what to do when something happens, the unexpected happens. Be prepared, have some Ic-X handy, and those little white spots just appear when you don't least expect it. Yeah. A lot of people do water changes using automatic systems, but it doesn't hurt them from going in there and clicking on the automatic system on a manual basis. You can always click it on and do another 10%, another 10%. But what I'll do often is I'll just try to siphon out the water rather than flush it out. I try to siphon it out because I'm getting the maximum amount of pull. I'm pulling out the bad stuff out of the tank. And then I'm maximizing it that way because, for example, in this tank right behind me, right? If I pour in a liter, it goes up a liter. I pour in another liter, it starts overflowing, and a liter goes in and a liter goes out. But that's not as effective. What's really effective is taking the water down to maybe take 90% of the water out, if you can. If the fish are small or whatever, you can do that. And then drip in the 90%. So I could just control the drip with this. I don't know if is it working? Yeah, it's working. So here, I just turned the valve on. You can see the water starts to come through, right? It's just pouring. See, I don't know if you can see that. You can see how much water, yeah, there you go. You see how much water is coming through, right? But then I have the ability to turn a knob. There we go. Now I got a steady drip. So that's one way of handling that. So I don't mind. I'm going to just go ahead and let this tank drip. And this one as well. These tubes are dripping water, and then the overflows will just overflow it. Now, over here in this last tank, there's plecos in it. They need a water change anyway. So I like doing the water changes this way. I'll control how much water change they get by how much time or duration I'm letting it drip. Now, how do I know? Well, above me is the tank, and it is right now full of water. It says 22 gallons usable water because obviously the bottom of the siphon hose isn't actually all the way to the bottom. It's a 25-gallon tank, but I don't want to drain it out completely. So it's 22 gallons usable and 0 used. So I have that marked, and then I can just watch that water level slowly go down, and I can say, oh, come back in an hour, and I see it's gone down 10 gallons. If I had these knobs turned on a certain way that I'm only doing it to one tank, I can change 10 gallons in that hour, right? But guess what? It's a 5.5 gallon tank. So I just did a 200% water change. It took me an hour to do it, but I could walk away without any fear of overflowing or anything because the overflow is working. Sometimes they get clogged. Sometimes they lose their siphon. This is important to know. So when I start something like this, I never do it and then walk away. I always walk away, watch the water level rise, and then I make sure that it doesn't keep rising. When it reaches a steady state, in other words, it rises up and stops, that's when I know that it's flowing, it's going in, it's going out, it's flowing. So it stops rising, it's not dropping. So in both cases, I have a situation where I can walk away. Now I feel safe because it's working. Rarely does it clog in the middle of working. Usually it clogs or there's an issue, especially losing siphon when you haven't been using it for a while and then you didn't notice that you jumbled around or you knocked it around and the siphon and the overflow got lost or knocked out. This is the siphon I'm talking about. It's the little tube at the top, right? It's full of water. It's carrying water from inside to the outside. But if it loses its siphon, it's got air in there, it won't lift anything. So that can happen. It's been a great evening for us to be together, and I don't see any questions. They've not come in. So I guess I've answered them. Maybe I'm sorry I wasn't able to grab everybody's comment. There was some discussion going on. It's great. Keep it up, and we'll see you next week. I think, yeah, we're going to be back live again next week, and so thank you all very much. And of course, if you really want to help the channel out and help it to grow, be sure to mention it or send the link of the live streams or videos to your friends and others who might be interested, someone you think, and say, hey, you know, this is a great for tips and in a real working, in an actual working fish room. And so here we are, and we're doing the best we can to share these things with everyone. So have fun with your fish this weekend and keep it real. Good night, everyone.